Hello, this is a recap of a Japanese movie called When I Get Home My Wife Always Pretends to Be Dead. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. John is a regular office worker living in Tokyo with his wife Chi. John believes that if a marriage lasts for more than 3 years without much hardship, the couple is made for each other. His first marriage ended after 3 years, so before marrying Chi, the two had made an agreement to renew their marriage contract after their third anniversary. And if they feel like they can no longer be together, they will simply walk out of each other's life. Currently, the pair's third marriage anniversary is approaching, and John is nervous about how their future will play out. While thinking about such thing, he returns home for work. He rings the doorbell, but no one answers. It is quite unusual because she always welcomes him at the door. John uses the spare key to get inside and is met with a horrifying sight. She is lying limp on the floor with blood dripping from her mouth. He falls beside her and tries to wake her up, but to no avail. In the moment of panic, John remembers all the good time he has shared with his wife. On their wedding day, she had asked him to die before her so she wouldn't have to live without him. A few seconds later, John comes back to his senses and decomposes himself. He tries calling for ambulance when suddenly she grabs his leg, revealing that it was just a prank. As John looks at her in shock, she asks him if he is surprised and giggles. When he doesn't reply, she simply asks him to come to the kitchen for dinner. After John has come out of his shocked state, he jokes about she using ketchup as fake blood. The couple laughed as she mocks John's reaction to the prank. For the rest of the dinner, their mood is happy and enlightened. The following morning, she asks for a kiss before John leaves for work. He tells her they are not newlyweds anymore, so it is just a cringe. She, however, doesn't share his views. She hugs him tightly, claiming that they never know what will happen during the day, so this might be their last goodbye. On his way out, John drops off the garbage bags into the bins. A cleaning lady goes through them and sees the blooded clothes from yesterday. She starts to believe John is doing something sketchy in his apartment. In the office, John tells his co-worker Sano about the prank she pulled on him yesterday. Sano compliments Chi for putting effort to be funny and wishes his wife was less serious. John thinks that she is testing to see if he still loves her, so it will be easier to decide if she wants to stay with him even after 3 years. Later in the evening, she is cooking dinner when she gets a text from John saying that he is returning home. She smiles mischievously at the text, ready for the next prank. Some minutes later, June walks in and sees his wife lying on the floor with her head inside a realistic alligator mouth. She is pretending to be eaten by the animal. June plays along and pulls her out of its mouth to save her. She dramatically thanks her husband for saving her life and says that they should eat dinner now. Following that, she consents to play dead every day, getting more creative with each prank. One day, she pretended to be a maid who died after being caught in a conflict. Following that, she is a trapped soldier shot by the enemies. But the one that impressed John the most is when she pretended to be shot by an arrow through her head. He compliments the creativeness, although he is getting more and more bothered by the pranks as time passes. John cannot decipher why she is doing them, and with the third anniversary approaching, it worries him even more. One day he is dumping the garbage again, which now mostly contains props that she uses to pretend to be dead. The cleaning lady goes through the bags and finds a blooded knife. She makes a scene in front of everyone and calms down only when John explains to her that the blood is ketchup. He again expresses his uneasiness to his co-worker Sano, who suggests he send Shay to her parents' home for a few days. As they talk, John begins to tell him how he first met Chi and got to know her. He was in Shizunako for a business meeting, but he missed his bus back home. She saw him running behind it and invited him to her father's restaurant. She was a pretty young girl, but her cheerful personality is what caught John's eyes. Her mother had passed away when she was only 5, but she never let her sadness show in front of people. Before leaving, she had told him her wish was to eat a dessert from Aunt St. Clair in Tokyo, and he invited her to the city sometime later. Sano is pleasantly surprised by the unique love story. That day, June returns home to see she has turned herself into an old soldier from the medieval period who died in the war. She has used several hours because June had praised her the last time. He plays along and pretends to be sad about her death, but he doesn't have to pretend anymore when he sees the price tag on the costume she's wearing. The next day, he tells Sanu that he is going to play along with the pranks to see if she will stop doing them. So, when he returns home and sees her being abducted by fake aliens, he puts in the best performance of his life and fights them. However, it doesn't stop she. Instead, she prepares him an elaborate sketch asking him to perform better. One time, she pretends to be a dead vampire who has to be revived by pulling out the dagger in her chest. John does as the sketch says and gets beaten by her in the process. Following that, she pretends to be Juliet, who needs Romeo's help to be revived from the dead. Similar to the last time, June acts like he is mourning and brings her back to life. At work, he can't focus anymore and is almost scared to return home. Sano sympathizes with his work friend to make him avoid the pranks for just a day. He invites the couple to dinner with his wife. They all meet at a restaurant at the end of the day. Sano's wife, Yumiko, also joins them. While talking, she is asked why she decided to marry June. A flashback shows us that after meeting at the restaurant, the pair met in Tokyo as well. June takes Chi to the cafe she always wanted to visit. While walking through the streets of Tokyo, she runs after a street vendor that sells her favorite wafer cake. June pulls behind her and finally gets to the vendor. Since he has only one cake left, they share it. She gives him the bigger space, but June asks her to give the bigger one. This was when she fell in love with him. Back in the present, while returning home, June falls in love with his wife again. They look at the moon and appreciate its beauty together. One day, on his way home, John notices an advertisement for a vacancy at a local laundry place. He thinks if she starts working, she will have less time for the pranks, so he brings the paper home. She welcomes him, dresses as the Egyptian princess inside a coffin. After the dramatic encounter, they simply walk to the kitchen for dinner. June tells her about the vacancy and urges her to apply. She is skeptical at first, but she agrees to do it anyway. Starting the next day, she works at the laundry shop owned by an old man. Yet, it doesn't stop her from executing the pranks. She pretends to be killed by a bank robber that evening. Having had enough, June tells her that he is tired of seeing her play dead. The next day, she goes on a date with Sano's wife Yumiko and finds out she has been trying to get pregnant for 6 years but hasn't been successful. The couple's relationship is rocky because of this, but she's kind words make Yumiko feel better. June brings his wife flowers and her favorite cake, but when he enters the apartment, he sees her pretending to be a ghost rising from her grave. Since he asked her to not play dead, she pretended to be a ghost who is already dead. She hugs him for the cake and cooks him something good for dinner. On the weekend, she pretends to be a robot, but June forcefully makes her take the mask off. Following that, he notices a letter from his former wife asking him to meet her someday. The pair invites Sano and his wife to dinner one day. Yumiko notices the alligator toy in the room and is fascinated by it. It turns out that she is very much into alligator, which surprises even her husband. Everything goes well until Sano mentions that men need time off for their wives. This upsets Yumiko and she gets into an argument with Sano. To make her feel better, she offers her the alligator if she wins a match of arm wrestling against her. Yumiko wins because she used to train at karate. She happily takes alligator home. Sano feels bad because he didn't know his wife's interest even after being married for 6 years. The following day, June comes home to see Chi has turned herself into a person from 2050. For the first few minutes, he plays along and asks her questions about the future, but then he inquires what he has to do for her to stop pulling these pranks. She goes silent and starts to calculate the average number of days they will spend together in the future. Even when he persists, she doesn't answer his question. Some day later, Yumiko tells Chi that she and Sano have decided to separate. She thanks Chi for making her feel appreciated. Because of her, the couple was able to talk about their feeling to each other. Somewhere else, June and Sano go to the restaurant to talk about the matter. Sano claims that the divorce is a good decision for both of them because Yumiko deserves a more attentive partner. June also reveals that his ex-wife once disappeared for 2 weeks and come back saying she wanted a divorce. By the end of the night, he is very drunk, so she picks him up. The following day, they get the news about Chi's father being in the hospital because of a heart attack. They quickly rush to her hometown and meet her father, who has thankfully been saved. She meets him but can't control her tears afterward. When she is not in the room, her father tells June that she doesn't cry since her mother's death. He also mentions that one night after her mother's death, she saw him crying while looking at her picture. Starting the next day, she begins to hide around the house when he returned from work. At first, her father thought it was troublesome and weird, but as time went on, the simple activity of her hiding made him get over his wife's death because he was occupied. June realizes that he also has been more involved in the relationship since she started to play dead. He registers that her pranks are not a result of her being unsatisfied, but she just wanted to feel closer to him and to keep him entertained. Later, the two go to the park where June proposed to her. They spend the rest of their day talking to each other about different things. The pair returns to Tokyo after a few days. She comes back home after work to see June lying on the floor with blood sweeping from his mouth. She freaks out and tries to wake him up, but soon realizes he is also pulling a prank. The movie ends as June suggests they have dinner, but she is too mad at him for scaring her like that.